Hey guys, we've got a Vancouver real estate market update for February 2024. Listing and sale activity have picked up since January, and it's certainly a lot busier now than it was this time last year. And yes, multiple offers are still prevalent. So sit tight. I'm going to give you some tips on how to be successful if you find yourself in one of those situations. By the way, my name is Feldstein. I'm a real estate advisor with Engel & Volkers Vancouver. If you're thinking about buying, selling, relocating, investing, or just have questions about our market, all of my contact information is below. This year's gotten off to a pretty busy start. Last year was pretty quiet. There was a lot of focus on interest rates, people wondering what's going to happen with the rates. So naturally, they put their plans on hold. Now, anytime there's a change in our market and people put their plans on hold, it usually lasts for about 6 to 9 months. So it's not that much of a surprise that this year started off quite well with a lot of people just getting on with their plans. And looking at stats for Vancouver, detached homes, new listings were up 15% and sales were up 72%. For attached properties, your condos and your townhouses, new listings were up 9% and sales were up 46%. Moving over to East Vancouver, new listings for detached were up 18% and sales were up 68%. Attached properties, listings were up 13% and sales were up 60%. Moving over to North Vancouver, detached properties, new listings were up 15% and sales were up 180%. For condos, new listings were up 43% and sales were up 46%. Moving over to West Vancouver, detached new listings were down 14%. Sales were up 167%. For your condos and your attached properties, new listings were up 22% and sales were up 75%. So in those 4 areas, west side of Vancouver, East Vancouver, North Vancouver, and West Vancouver, for detached properties, the only decrease in new listings was in West Vancouver that was down 14%. Every other area and property type, detached and attached, listings were up and sales were up. But when you look at these numbers, the sales were up much more than the amount of listings coming onto the market, which is why we're seeing multiple offers. Not to the same extent that we saw them a couple years ago, but we are still seeing them. So here's a couple tips on multiple offers if you find yourself in that situation. The best tip that I can give you is to try not to confuse the asking price for the actual value of the home. Meaning the asking price or the list price is what the seller and listing realtor decided to put the property on the market at. Given where the property is and given the type of property and the price point, their strategy might be to generate multiple offers, which means there's a likelihood that the property could sell for over the asking price, which is fine. So again, try not to confuse the asking price with the actual value of the home. So you're gonna have to do your own research, evaluate the property and decide what the property is worth to you, and then decide what it's worth given other active listings and other recent sales. This will all help you arrive at a price that makes sense. Also, when a new listing hits the market that matches your search criteria, try to see that property right away. First of all, if you see it online and you like what you're seeing, find out if there is an offer date. If there is an offer date, you're gonna wanna get in there and see it right away so you can do as much homework, as much due diligence before the offer date, which will help you make a better offer with as few conditions as possible. Nobody wants to compete for a property, I get that. But remember, real estate is a long-term investment. And if a handful of people want the same property and are willing to compete for it, chances are it's a really great property. So when the time comes for you to sell that property, if you ever do, you're gonna be very successful. Remember, every property type, price point, and neighborhood perform differently. Make sure you're getting the right information and you're not putting too much weight in what the media is saying, because that's very generalized and there's a lot of talk about averages. So you want to make sure you're getting specific information for your local market. I can help with this. Just reach out. Again, all my contact information is below. This is a free service. I'm happy to help any way I can.